1 year ago, TC Helicon released the GoXLR, a one-stop solution built for streamers to replace everything to do with live stream audio. It has quickly become one of the most popular devices used by professional streamers, but at a price point of $400, it is often out of budget for many streamers looking to improve their audio setup. This week, TC Helicon have released the GoXLR Mini. Now, they sent me this a couple of months ago to test it. It comes in at a price of $250, so nearly half the price of the original GoXLR. In this video, we're going to be covering what's different, the things I like about these devices, as well as the things that I don't like, and most importantly, I want to help you decide if either of these devices are right for you and your streaming setup. To be able to go through all of the features of the GoXLR Mini, it's worth first just going through a 30-second rundown of everything the original GoXLR is capable of, and then we can compare exactly what's different and what is the same. Since the GoXLR was specifically designed for streamers and content creators, it serves quite a few different purposes. First and foremost, it is an XLR to USB interface, allowing you to plug in a high-quality XLR microphone and then use that for live streams and for recording. It's also an audio mixer featuring 4 separate channels with motorized faders, allowing you to easily mute and control audio of things like your microphone, your music, your friends on Discord, and your game audio, all from your fingertips. You can easily then route any audio to your stream or to your headphones, or even to the line out, making previously complicated things like a 2-PC streaming setup incredibly simple. Built into the GoXLR is a DSP, or a digital signal processor, which offers things like compression, EQ, noise gates, and de-essing for your microphone, as well as some more fun voice effects, which you can change things like the reverb, pitch, echo, and gender of your voice for comedic value if you wish to. Finally, the GoXLR has a sampler built in, so you can record and store audio samples and then play them back easily, as well as a 1 kHz sensor button and a push to mute. So since the GoXLR Mini is half the size and almost half the price, they've clearly removed some functionality to make it more affordable. The main things that they've removed are the voice effects panel and the sampler. There are also some minor changes to the mixer, which we'll get into later, but effectively, they've just chopped the GoXLR in half, whilst not sacrificing the things that I would consider most important. One of the things that they've kept from the GoXLR is the low noise preamps that provide a whopping 72 decibels of gain. The GoXLR Mini uses the exact same preamps as the original GoXLR, meaning yes, even if you're using the quietest of dynamic XLR microphones, something like the Shure SM7B, you can still power it with the GoXLR Mini without needing to buy something like the $150 Cloud Lifter, which is required by so many other XLR USB interfaces when paired with a quiet dynamic microphone. The GoXLR Mini also offers all the same enhancements for your microphone, things like the noise gate, the equalization, the compression, and the de-essing, which, although they are set up through the GoXLR app, all these enhancements actually happen on the physical devices themselves, meaning absolutely zero impact on your computer. Effectively, what this means is the sound quality of your microphone through the $400 GoXLR or the $250 GoXLR Mini is exactly the same. There is absolutely no difference at all. In terms of build quality, both the Mini and the original GoXLR are built mostly from plastic with this kind of glossy finish and some rubber feet on the bottom to stop it from sliding. In terms of inputs and outputs, they both obviously have an XLR input for the XLR microphone. They have 3.5mm stereo line in and stereo line out, which is super useful, especially if you're using a 2-PC streaming setup. They both have a USB port and an included cable to connect it to your PC, an optical input for consoles, a 3.5mm microphone input for non-XLR microphones, and finally a 3.5mm headphone output, which offers zero latency monitoring. Since the Mini is smaller and has less additional functionality, it can be completely powered by USB, meaning it doesn't have a power input and a power cable at all. Next, let's look at the faders, and the GoXLR Mini still allows you to control 4 separate channels through the audio mixer, so you can easily mute or change the volumes of your microphone, your voice chat, your system sounds, or any other application that you wish to. What has changed is that these faders are no longer motorized, so if you hit the mute switch on your teammates in Discord, for example, that fader will no longer jump down to the bottom. Instead, the LED lights on the fader and the mute switch at the bottom indicate the change. Also, you may have noticed that up above the faders, there are no longer those little screens that you could use to display exactly what each fader controlled. You can still customize what each channel controls in the software, so if you didn't want your fourth fader to control your system audio, and instead you wanted it to control something like your headphone level, you can still change that in the software, but obviously the word system will still appear above the fader. They've kept the push to sensor and push to mute buttons so you can censor yourself when you're mid-rage and you can mute yourself when you're mid-sneeze. So those are all the differences between the GoXLR and the GoXLR Mini. I think they 100% made the right decisions on where to save money to make a cheaper product. I know some of you watching are probably disappointed that they didn't keep in the voice effects, but from personal experience, I think the voice effects are really cool, but they get kind of old kind of quickly. So unless you have a really unique way of being able to add them and integrate them into your stream, I think they are, again, something that was worth dropping to get a lower price. I personally would much rather have the low noise preamp, the noise gate, the EQ, the compression, the de-essing, than to have those fancy features like the effects, the sampler, and the motorized faders. Now, whilst I love and use the GoXLR every single day, there is some feedback and things that I wish TC Helicon would implement in the future. Some of these have already been fixed and implemented into the GoXLR Mini. Some of them are actively being worked on, and then just some I hope will be worked on in the future. I was going to complain about the lack of a power switch, which leaves the GoXLR brightly lit even when I've powered off my PC, but it seems that TC Helicon have already recognized this and are soon to be releasing a stand and a power cable that has a switch for the original GoXLR. And then since the GoXLR Mini is just powered purely through USB, it already shuts down when you shut down your PC. I wish that the original GoXLR had a second XLR input. I realize that I'm probably in their minority here, but I think it would be amazing to be able to use the GoXLR for things like podcasts or streams when you have a second person on stream. Since the name is GoXLR and they're encouraging you to go XLR, I think this would be a massive feature if they could implement a second XLR input. I've seen a few people in the past complaining about the GoXLR's reliance on having to have the GoXLR app running on the PC for it to function properly. And I wasn't that bothered about this until last week, where an update rolled out that was mandatory. Unfortunately, the update wasn't ready for public release and caused a lot of streamers to have to cancel streams or move back to a USB microphone just to be able to stream. TC Helicon, to their credit, did work quickly to fix the bug and help everyone get back up and running. And since then, they have released a statement saying that they are rethinking their software testing and rollout to make sure that something like this doesn't happen again in the future. Lastly, I'd love to see GoXLR be compatible with macOS and Linux. I know that they've aimed this towards streamers, and largely nowadays streamers are gamers playing on Windows PCs. But as streaming grows, as this whole ecosystem grows and more people come into streaming all kinds of content, things like podcasts or cooking streams, there are going to be more users that want to use the GoXLR with their Mac setup or with their Linux setup. With all that said, I still think that the GoXLR and the GoXLR Mini are fantastic products. And if your use case is similar to mine and you want something to make your audio for streaming simpler and of a higher quality in a 1 PC, a 2 PC, or even a PC and a console setup, I think you'll be very happy with your purchase. That being said, I know that there is a lot of skepticism on the internet, and rightfully so, particularly for products that are labeled for gamers. So I went to Twitter and Instagram yesterday to ask you guys what you wanted to know about the GoXLR and the GoXLR Mini. I'm going to answer a handful of them now, and I'm actually going to be using the GoXLR so you can hear what the sound quality is like with my microphone. So one thing that I had a lot of different questions about was using the quiet mics like the Shure SM7B. Obviously, this is a very popular microphone for streamers, but it is a very notoriously quiet dynamic microphone, meaning that it needs a lot of gain to be able to be heard. Well, this is exactly how it sounds. This is the Shure SM7B plugged directly into the GoXLR Mini without a cloud lifter or any kind of signal boost. You can see in the app I have my gain set to 55 decibels, and this is how it sounds. The second question that I had was from True Impact asking, I want to know if it's possible to use a USB microphone such as the Blue Yeti with it. And the technical answer is yes. If you had a microphone like the Blue Yeti or the HyperX Quadcast, both of those options have a 3.5mm headphone out, which you can use to monitor your headphones. What you can do is get a cable that will go from the 3.5mm out of the microphone into the 3.5mm microphone in on the GoXLR or the GoXLR Mini, and then you can use them together. One thing to note though is that you're not going to be using the amazing preamps that are built into the GoXLR and the GoXLR Mini. Instead, you'll be using the preamps that are built into your USB microphone, so you won't be getting the same quality. So the overall answer is yes, it's possible, but honestly, in my opinion, it's not really worth it. If there is a future where you would upgrade from a USB mic to an XLR microphone, then it might be worth just getting yourself a GoXLR Mini in the meantime, because you can use it with your USB microphone, but I would only say it's worth it if in the future you are planning to move to an XLR mic. Finally, I got quite a lot of questions about the comparison between the GoXLR and the GoXLR Mini. Tilltruth asked on Instagram, do you think this is actually a good alternative option? I think some of the best parts are left out of the Mini. In my opinion, if you would prefer to have $150 to spend on other things in your stream, or maybe just to keep in your wallet, I would 100% get the Mini. It's smaller, it's USB powered, which means it's one less cable, and $150 can go a long way in buying something else for your stream if you do have that money, something like lights or a camera upgrade or something like that. That being said, if you really think that you're going to be using the voice effects and you have a good idea of how you could integrate them into your stream, then obviously the GoXLR is also a great choice. So hopefully this video has been helpful in helping you understand a bit more about the GoXLR and the GoXLR Mini, and maybe if one of those is right for you. If you are considering purchasing one, I have some links at the top of the description to both the GoXLR and the GoXLR Mini at your local Amazon store. So it will take you directly to your local store where you can see what the price is in your local currency, as well as whether it is in stock. If you're new to the Gaming Careers YouTube channel, it is completely dedicated to helping you learn to live stream. So have a look around at some of the other content that we've got, and I would highly recommend subscribing with notifications on, especially as I will be doing another Black Friday video for you coming out on Friday with all the best deals for streamers. Finally, a massive thanks to all the Gaming Careers patrons who have supported the channel this month. I really couldn't do what I do without you guys, so I really do appreciate it. I'll see you all in the next video, which is Friday, for the Black Friday streamer deals. Peace.